And welcome to Around the Ozarks Spotlight. Each week, we uncover the stories behind the people who live and work here in Southwest Missouri. Those individuals with entrepreneurial spirit who work to better the lives of others or put pen to paper to write books about the stories and history of the Ozarks and its people. I'm your host, Scott Meier. Today, we're going to explore the world, unfortunately, only because it isn't gone. We've tried to eradicate it over time and it hasn't gone away. Domestic violence. And we're here with Jared Alexander, the executive director of Harmony House, who attempts to do something about it each and every year. Hello, Jared. How are you?
I'm doing great, Scott. Good to see you.
Well, good to see you too. And it seems like every year we have this conversation because we're getting close to eye care, and we're going to explain a little bit about what that is here in just a minute. Let's refresh the listeners and the viewers on who Jared Alexander is. You've been the director there how long?
Just almost 2 years now. Yeah. So I'm the executive director here
Okay.
at Harmony House. Harmony House is Springfield and Greene County's only domestic violence shelter. We serve all individuals, men, women, children who are fleeing a domestic violence situation in their home. They need some place to go that is safe and secure for them to be in and heal physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever that is. For as long as they need to. And on top of that, we have a whole host of services to care for them and their families while they're here with us and moving on to a better phase in life that's free of abuse. And that's our main goal here.
You know, Jared, we have to have places like Harmony House because there are problems like that. But are we seeing any progress at all? Is there anything measurable that would suggest that over time domestic violence begins to wane, or is it just simply there?
I think there's a number of metrics that I could point to that show that more people are reaching out to us. More people
Hmm.
over the years know where to find resources like Harmony House, like other victim serving agencies across the Ozarks, but also where they live across the country. So I think the prevalence of knowing how to get help has increased. Has the problem itself gone away? I don't believe so, and I don't believe that it is going away anytime soon. A lot of
Hmm.
times I speak to our volunteers or donors or our board members, and I say I may be the only guy in town trying to work himself out of a job, and so far that's not happening anytime soon. But we are sure trying, and we're putting a lot of resources into the community to do just that. That hopefully one day, as you say, we can eradicate this, and we don't need a place like Harmony House. But we're still going to be here. And for example, last year we answered just over 4,100 hotline calls. People
Wow.
reaching out for emergency support. They're going through something. They need help right in that moment, or they know somebody that is going through it, and they're trying to get help for them and be a resource for their friend or their family member or their coworker. So we're still here. We're still plugging along. We're still available every day and every night as long as we need to be.
Now, Jared, the Springfield area is not slowing down in its growth. So, as the area grows with more and more people moving in and around greater Springfield, how does that affect you at Harmony House? Because I would think you have a finite number of beds for assistance.
We do, and we talk about that quite often as the region is growing. In businesses moving in, people moving in, our schools are growing in populations. All the
Hmm.
things that we read about and see on the news, it does affect us. It does affect the number of phone calls that our staff are going to be answering, and the places that we're out and about in the community. One way that we are responding to that is just trying to be more relevant and available to the community. Maybe trying to
Hmm.
reduce the number of folks that need to come to shelter, and work in a preventive way. Talking about what does abuse look like, talking about that in any platform that we can, but most predominantly in business settings. We our curriculum that our prevention team will provide called DV in the workplace. Really
Hmm.
looking at what does domestic abuse look like in the places that you work, in a large office, a small office, a retail setting, a restaurant setting, but being able to spot it and intervene in helpful and healthy ways and supportive ways for your staff, your customers, whomever that may be. So we're really
Sure.
trying to get creative in how are we making ourselves available to the community so that one, we can help educate them on what it looks like, but two, know how to reach out to Harmony House or other services that may be of help to those around them as well.
Jared Alexander, my guest, Jared, the executive director of Harmony House here in Springfield. You and I talked a while back about a personal situation with a family member of mine, dealing with somebody who's, I guess, for lack of a better word, a bit of a narcissist when it comes with dealing for them dealing together. And even though it's not physical violence, it's certainly mental violence. And you, as a director of a domestic violence uh, chapter here, what how do those differ, and what happens? Do you find women, and I guess it can be men too, but do you find women coming to you in situations like that where the law doesn't really seem to provide much assistance?
Yeah, that can be one of the most difficult ways to spot abuse because
Mhm.
it's not immediate. It's not something that you can see on the surface of it happening. It takes a lot of time, and it takes its time to really have lasting effects on people. Those mental abuse, the psychological abuse, the mental games that people will play with each other to
Mhm.
at its core, whatever type of abuse it is, it's all about maintaining and establishing power and control over somebody else. And if you
Sure.
can do that in any number of ways that abusers will do it, some of those can be really difficult to spot and do anything about. But you're right. In those cases, there aren't a lot of legal ramifications until something really tragic happens. Unfortunately,
Mhm.
and those types of conversations that we want to have more often, is trying to spot some of those seemingly harmless conversations that may be taking place between intimate partners or family members, and say, at least throw a red flag up in somebody's mind to say, I hope everything's okay, but I'm going to pay attention to this. Or, I'm not sure I like the way that comment was made. And, I'm going to ask about that. Or are things okay? And, if you need to reach out for help, here's, you can call me, or you can call, my friends at Harmony House, or whatever it may be.
So you said you had over 4,000 calls just this last year, correct?
Yes.
Of the 4,000 calls, how many people do you feel you've been able to assist?
Well, I would say that what we do is to make sure that before we hang up the phone, that we have made meaningful progress to get somebody resources. It is
Mhm.
never a goal of ours to, say, "Hey, I'm sorry, we're full," and that's the end of the conversation. Unfortunately, we are full more often than not. But even if we don't have a bed for somebody in that moment, we want to make sure that they're getting connected to help. That they know
Mhm.
if shelter is what they need, that we are trying to reach out and find them shelter. Sometimes an immediate hotel stay if there's a very high risk situation happening. If shelter's not the need that they have in that moment, which is fairly often, we're going to
Sure.
make sure that they're getting connected to a number of resources. We're a partner agency of the Family Justice Center here in Greene County, which is connected to 9 partners around the community, including the Springfield Police Department and the Sheriff's Office, the prosecuting attorneys, domestic violence unit, and a number of others. So we have kind of a really cool group on speed dial, I guess you could say, to say, what
Mhm.
do you need right now, and let me connect you to some really great people that can help you with any legal challenges that you're facing right now. Do you need somebody to walk you through what's about to happen at court? We can do that. So we never, I'd like to say that every single one of those 4,000 calls, we help somebody, because
Mhm.
even if, again, if it's not shelter that we provided, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that they feel like they are connected to some next step of supporting them through that journey.
This is probably a good time to inject a phone number. What's the best way for someone who might be listening to the program, who's involved in a situation, not sure if they should make a call, not sure exactly, what they can do, or maybe a neighbor who says,
Yeah.
I know this is going on. I mean, I can think back a couple of years ago, many years ago now, we actually had a neighbor who, on the surface, it looked like they were, Ozzie and Harriet family. But beneath the scene, we could hear screaming matches going on in their home, the whole neighborhood could hear those. And this guy was very threatening. And I thought, gosh, what does she do?
Oh,
And this was long enough ago. I'm not sure she had a place to turn. And if we certainly
yeah.
had something like Harmony House where we were living at that time, trust me, we would have made a phone call on her behalf. But what is that number? If somebody's in a situation like that, they know something's going down, or they themselves have something going down, and they just don't know where to turn.
Yeah, I always say if you or someone you know or love needs to talk to Harmony House, it is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 417-864-SAFE. That's 864-7233. Somebody's
Mhm.
always here. Rain or shine, bad weather, good weather, day or night, holidays, it doesn't matter. There's always somebody here around the clock in shelter that's going to answer that phone and talk to you.
Jared, if we can talk numbers a little bit, let's talk about the business of Harmony House because it is a business as well. It's a business doing good work, but just the same, it's a business. How many
Yeah.
staff members are there?
We are up to 60 people that are staffed in different capacities around Harmony House. A lot of them in our
Mhm.
outreach teams in the community. The majority of them here in shelter, working in those advocate roles in our advocate office 24 hours a day. But it takes a lot of people to do all the things that we want to do to care for people, working in the kitchen to our donation center for where we accept
Mhm.
clothing and household goods and all the shelter supplies that we need. Our team caring for our children and families that are in shelter year round. Our administrative team obviously takes a team to keep it all going in the right direction. Our fundraising
Sure.
officers that are working, and then all those folks I mentioned out in the community through the Family Justice Center, where we have 4 staff members now, case managers that will meet with individuals one-on-one that are in the community that don't
Mhm.
need the shelter piece of what we offer. And then we've actually been working into partnering with our law enforcement agencies a lot closer. We have victim advocates that are now embedded within the Springfield and Republic police departments and their DV units. So
Mhm.
we're trying to be right there with victims when these incidents occur and or shortly after, that we can be a pretty immediate resource for them to start that conversation.
And as a nonprofit, you obviously report to a board and have a board of directors that oversee things. What does that budget look like a year?
We're just over $3.5 million to operate everything, and we have a wonderful board that cares deeply about the mission and helping us make the right decisions and helping us, raise those
Mhm.
important dollars to keep our mission going and do all the things that we want to do to care for people.
Is your funding primarily private, or do you get some state help or even federal?
We Yeah, we receive some state and federal funding opportunities that are through some
Mhm.
grant programs on different levels. But we also, we got to raise the dollars locally here as well. So it's about 50% of our budget is grants, and 50% of it is raised locally here as well.
With well over 3,000 nonprofits operating in and around the Springfield area, what's that like for you as an executive director to be able to get people to focus on your needs? And the danger, I guess, in that question is everybody has needs, but you know,
Right.
if you can put it in, if you can put it into an elevator pitch, why your needs? Why Harmony Houses?
Um, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience some form of abuse in their lifetime. Everybody knows what this issue is. Everybody is going through this. Everybody knows somebody that is or has gone through this issue. It is impossible to ignore. And part of it is maybe not recognizing exactly what that looks like and understanding that what they have experienced is abuse, but it is. And so this affects everybody's life at some level, and it affects the economy and the businesses that we all operate in. There's no way to avoid it. And so that is one of the reasons that I think we have been successful in again, educating our community about why there is such a need for a place like Harmony House in a lot of different ways.
You're viewing and hearing my friend Jared Alexander, who is the executive director of Harmony House here in Springfield. We're going to be back in a moment with more on Around the Ozark Spotlight I'm your host, Scott Meier. Back in just a moment.
Hey, everybody, it's Ethan and Sarah Forhetz from your favorite podcast, Around the Ozarks in 5. I'm sure you've been wondering, how can I get even more amazing stories, events, and witty banter to start my day?
Well, look no further. Here we are. Sign up for our daily newsletter. You'll have what's going on around the Ozarks right at your fingertips each weekday morning.
Yeah, just go to aroundtheozarks.com, click on the newsletter tab to sign up.
Thanks for listening to Around the Ozarks in 5. We hope to see you in your inbox soon.
Welcome back to the second half of today's Around the Ozarks Spotlight. I'm your host, Scott Meier. With me is Jared Alexander, the executive director of Harmony House here in Springfield. Harmony House has been around a long, long time. Who first established it, Jared? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, absolutely. 1976. So we're coming up on 50 years of being in the community and helping a lot of people. And we've been diving into our own history recently, and it was very grassroots start to everything. It was loosely based around one of our local churches in town, but a group of volunteers and a group of women, and it saw a need, saw a lot of people that were hurting, had no place to go, that were in these dangerous situations, and actually started just picking people up and taking them back to their own homes so they could get out of where they were. Today, I would tell you that is extremely dangerous, and I would not advise that you do that. But
Sure.
How great of those women to step up and see a need and meet it head on. Fast forward to today, we're like I said, the only one here in Southwest Missouri and in Springfield and Greene County, and we're the largest domestic violence shelter in the state of Missouri now, and helping a lot of people every single day.
That's great, and it's unfortunate.
I know it's kind of
there.
it's 22 there, isn't it?
Well, I think what's interesting is, when you move to Springfield, as I did about 8 years ago, I heard a lot about domestic violence and that Springfield was off the charts and having domestic violence. I'm not sure I fully understand that, because I think, we've talked a few times. It doesn't know any economic lines. Those lines are drawn in the sand. It's sometimes people talk about the high level of poverty rate, folks that live in the Springfield area. But every city's got their issues, and Springfield, is working hard to get past those. But it's not always money, right? There's a lot of other reasons why people have domestic violence, and I don't believe that you could point on a map and say, well, there's more of it on the north side than there is south or east or more than the west, or even in a town like Republic versus a town like Willard. I mean, everybody sees domestic violence.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It knows no boundaries across any gender or socioeconomic background, race, religion. It doesn't matter. We all know somebody that's going through this, and it can show up in a lot of different ways. And again, I think that's a lot of what we are spending our time on in the last couple of years. But looking forward, as we're wrapping up, looking at our next strategic plan, we want to be out having more of those conversations and be very out in the community and very visible, shouting those things from the rooftop so that more people recognize those things, and maybe we can work ahead of somebody needing to call Harmony House and come into an emergency shelter. We will always be here for that, and we want to be here for that, and we do that, I think, better than anybody, in caring for people when they need a safe, secure place to be. But we'd love to, start working on the front end of that too.
Now, October brings a lot of things to mind, one being Halloween. Obviously, everybody's back to school. You got that going on. Fall colors, all of those things. But there's something important at Harmony House, and we like to talk about it every year. Why don't you lay that out for our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, we'd love to say one of those fall colors be purple everywhere. October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And what that looks like here in Springfield around the Ozarks is it's Eye Care, is our annual campaign to raise awareness, raise funds, educate our community about all those things I've mentioned, what abuse looks like, how we can help those around us, and how we can connect people to a great resource in Harmony House. It really mobilizes the business community first and foremost. that they can take a really forward-facing role in talking about something that may be uncomfortable to talk about. Definitely is uncomfortable to talk about in a lot of settings, but to bring it forward and have those conversations in your business, whatever that business looks like, no matter how big, how small. We have a way for you to engage with the mission of Harmony House and ultimately helping those around you.
It's again pulling it back to something at home when I was working full time and managing over at the radio stations for Midwest Family before retirement. And trust me, Jared, it's a good thing. Don't not go there. It's like skipping vacation. Don't skip vacation. I read something the other day that actually said, when you look at it, if you live to be 80, that means you had 80 summers to play. So if you lose a couple of summers out of that deal, that's a lot. That percentage catches up quickly.
Yeah.
But my question for you here with eye care, and that's with an eye care, is it is a chance for you to not only draw more attention in the area about what Harmony House stands for and the good work that you do, but I would assume it has a lot to do with some of your fundraising as well.
Absolutely. We would love to see as many businesses partner with us in a number of ways. The first is the education and awareness piece. The second is the fundraising, and fundraising can look however it needs to look in your place of business. There are, retail locations that will do a percentage of sales on a certain day or week or a certain item that will go back to Harmony House. Restaurants will have special dine-in nights. And then in office settings, they kind of run the gamut. They can be whatever that is, a bake sale, a special, casual day, a pancake feed for breakfast one day. But all are circled around raising dollars, raising awareness for the mission of Harmony House. And so it's a really fun month to be around Springfield and the surrounding areas, because we get to go visit all these places and we get to promote all these amazing business partners of ours and encourage people to go dine in at these restaurants. They're great places to eat, and they're doing it for a great cause. And go shop our local businesses and see what they've got going on and learn something about Harmony House along the way. So it is a big fundraising opportunity. It's one of our larger fundraisers. We have a goal of raising $160,000 with this campaign this year, and I think we're well on our way to doing that.
Well, I hope we are. Where I was going with that point before was we actually had somebody on our staff about 6 years ago now, who it came up in a vehicle. We were all traveling to some training up in Wisconsin from Missouri. And this person, one of our salespeople at the time, had some bruises, and she and some of her fellow workers were talking about it in the car. What were the bruises a result of? And it turns out it was a result of a boyfriend who was being abusive. And, so it does happen in the workplace. I think she got confidence from that conversation to actually do something about it, like jettisoning this guy and getting her out of his life, out of her life. But at the end of the day, I'm not so sure if she wasn't with peers in a closed setting like that it would have ever come, to fruition for her to have the courage to reach out and do something about it. And I can't tell you for certain, but I know we all pointed her in the direction of Harmony House. So with good luck, I think she did make a call there.
It's amazing. We'll hear those stories every single year. Unfortunately, we will get those stories that an employee came to their manager, came to the owner of the business, whatever it is, revealing that they needed help through a domestic situation. But they felt comfortable doing that because they knew their employer put that "Ask Me Why I Care" button on the front door and put those Harmony House resources in the break room or wherever, because I can trust my boss, my supervisor, my employer here, that they believe in ending this, and they believe that this is a place to turn to that can get me to a good resource for help. So I commend you and everybody in your position that is out there spreading the word about Harmony House and eye care each and every October. And it's really special that this is the 10th year, and not a lot of campaigns and fundraising opportunities can say they're entering their 10th year of doing anything. But for 10 years now, we've been talking in Springfield and around the Ozarks about a very uncomfortable topic, and that this community continues to want to step up and say, no more, we are going to talk about domestic abuse in this town. I think that it's really amazing and uplifting for me every single year.
Since some of the folks that are involved on the giving end, not the money giving end, but the giving the grief end, uh, are probably under the surface, many are kind of cowards, if you will, because it's easy to pick on somebody who is pick-onable, if you will. But have you ever found that someone who Harmony House has helped maybe poked a finger at you and said, this is all your fault for something that's occurred, as far as maybe a family breakup where she finally had the courage to leave? And I mean, I got to think that people think like that. And that your position could be a tough one. I mean, is that a fair question?
I think it could be, and I don't know that I've had any of those comments directly posed to me.
Good.
But I know our advocate team, our outreach teams, our direct service folks will, they have some tough conversations on those hotline calls, and they hear, I think sometimes from both ends, as you describe, and those are very traumatic. Those are very intense and high risk scenarios, and some very emotional times that people are going through. And so, I could say that there are a lot of interesting conversations that will be had, but I would always say that, give us a call and talk, because those advocates are some of the best trained. They're very trauma informed in their approach, and understand that it's an emotional, traumatic time, that, and why people are calling us in the first place.
Jared, let's paint a picture of 5 years from now. What do you see for Harmony House in the year, 2029? I'm not great at math, but I'm trying to figure that out. 2029. Where would you like to be? Where would you like it to be?
I was told there would be no math. So, yeah. I want us to keep working towards those preventive measures, but I also am seeing a need arising from the surrounding community, our rural communities around Greene County, that maybe have more limited resources when it comes to victim services like Harmony House, or child abuse and neglect, or victim services of any kind. So we're exploring what that looks like for Harmony House. How are we going to step up and respond to the needs of more people around us? I don't know that includes more shelters necessarily, but how are we going to continue to support those that are around us? You mentioned it earlier that the business community is growing rapidly, not only in Springfield, but in surrounding communities, Republic, Christian County, and others. And these issues are going to follow. These issues are going to just increase in some cases too. And we need to be prepared for that. And that's kind of where my mind is at. And so 5 years from now, what do we look like? I hope we're meeting all of those needs. I hope we're surrounding, I hope we're supporting rural communities that are even further out from that, with great resources or help, or just support for, other shelters or DV services in rural Missouri as well, with whatever we can, because I think that's where we're going to start to see an increased need in places that maybe can't meet the capacity of what's being brought to them either.
Well, it's a little like the things that Ronald McDonald House does, where at least it provides a place for people to harbor if their children are in a hospital, especially if you live 50 miles from Springfield.
Exactly.
It seems like you might be in the same boat. The expansion possibilities could make a great deal of sense if it's affordable, if it's the kinds of things that you can do. But for someone who's maybe in a bad situation, 30 or 40 miles from Springfield, it's pretty tough to give up everything and physically move away from an area where your kids might be in school or what have you.
Yeah, the greatest challenges we hear right now in listening to stakeholders in those types of communities is it's transportation and it's housing. Are always going to be the top two barriers to someone leaving or not being able to leave where they're at. So we're trying to really listen and hear what's going on, and partner with the right people in those areas to try to meet those needs.
How could a business get an eye care kit, since we are ahead of it here?
Yeah, the kickoff is coming on September 26th, our kickoff breakfast. And then all through the month of October, you can call us at Harmony House. You can visit myharmonyhouse.org/eyecare. and sign up your business. And special thanks to our friends at Pet Supplies Plus. All of their locations are pickup points this year. So you can even go get a purple box right there in one of their business locations, which is a really amazing opportunity.
Excellent. I want to thank my guest today, Jared Alexander. Jared, Executive Director of Harmony House here in the Springfield area. Also, I want to thank my producers, Taylor Dempster and Jay Stevens, as well as all of you for joining us. If you happen to miss all or part of today's program, you can always find ATO Spotlight on the AroundTheOzarks.com website, Facebook, Instagram, or X, or even our new app for ATO at the available in the Apple App Store or Android apps. I'm Scott Meier. Remember, every day is a gift, and enjoy that gift. Have a great day.